Depressed, overworked, job suck, unappreciated, family problems, money worries. Well, we have a pill for you. Fucking 1,000 milligrams.
Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio, where we say screw the pipe bombs and we drop the F-bombs. In other words, HWR is not a fucking babysitting service, so let's keep the kiddies out. Welcome to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. I'm your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I got the whole crew here with me. First, welcome back. He's the son of a bitch, Andy. Andy, how we doing tonight?
I'm not doing too bad, thank you, and thanks to everybody that is still listening to us after my little hiatus, if that's the right... Is that the right word?
Hiatus? I think we can call that hiatus. Either way, welcome back. Glad to have you back here. And then, of course, over from Lance Moss TV, he's the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, how we doing?
Pretty good. Let's have some fun.
And then over from the SoundCloud, he's one half of the iVlog tag team. He's the Bay Area MVP, known as Will.
Fuck Nikki Bella, fuck the Royals, fuck everything that starts with the letter G. Can we fucking get this over with? Fuck.
Wow, I believe he has a few things he wants to rant about. I believe we're referring to the Hell in a Cell review. We're not going to do all the matches. We're just going to do a few of the highlights. But before that, you know what? Let's get a little controversial. Lance, we're going to kick things right off with you.
Well, this week is about the late Ox Baker when the Heart Punch kills. On June 13th, 1971, Ox Baker and his partner, The Claw, were wrestling in the AWA Midwest Tag Team Championship match against Alberto Torres and his partner, Cowboy Bob Ellis, in Verdigris, Nebraska. Torres was injured during the match and died 3 days later. Though evidence indicated that Torres died of a ruptured appendix, Baker's heart punch was blamed, and though by his own accounts Baker was privately distraught over the death, he did work it as he thought he killed Torres. This also happened again on August 1st, 1972 in Savannah, Georgia. Baker faced Ray Gunkel, who was a popular wrestler in the Georgia promotion. He was also a part owner, though it was claimed that Grunkle dropped dead in the ring from the heart punch. Others account, most notably in Vince McMahon's Sex, Lies, and Headlocks, stated that Grunkle had suffered a heart attack from an apparent overindulgence in a restaurant before the match. The truth is that Grunkle won the match and died in the dressing room after the match. In both cases, Baker was blamed for the death. You guys' thoughts?
I was following up on this, and I did a little bit of research. For one thing is that I checked out is that I believe that there was an autopsy on Gunkel and that he had suffered from an undiagnosed arteriosclerosis, if I'm pronouncing that properly. So while the heart punch, some people would still say that was the cause of it, that's not necessarily even the case, because the wrestling match could have caused the heart attack. And keep in mind, back then, wrestlers were not just doing not one match, they were doing 2 or 3 matches a night. So that very well could have caused it. And that heart diagnosis, other people have died from that just suddenly. Who else had that same heart condition? Brian Pillman, who, by the way, also died, all of a sudden from a heart attack. So, and he didn't get a heart punch. So, do I really think that these men died from this heart punch? Absolutely not. But of course, the wrestlers had to work it back then because that's all they had. They had to use it. Also, real quickly, Ox was also now a trainer, and I wrestled an interview, and I did not know that Ox trained 2 wrestlers that went into the WWE. One of them was The Undertaker, who also, before he became The Undertaker, he was Mean Mark Calloway, used that heart punch. And he actually broke his wrist at one point in time. Another man that he trained was Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Back to you.
Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with Rick, to be honest. I think it's typical wrestling thing. Make something out of nothing, really. It sells the heart punch, and it sells, I suppose, a deadly move. It's no different than they do today, really.
And finally, Bay.
I don't know much about Ox Baker. It's a shock to know that this heart punch did such damage. And to be honest with you guys, I'm going to take you back to 1997. The last time I seen the heart punch was in WCW by a wrestler named Ice Train, who was managed by Teddy Long.
Well, now we're going to move things along to the Hell in the Cell. And again, this is going to be more of a highlights. We're not going to do all the matches because, let's be honest, the Hell in the Cell this past Sunday, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It wasn't really the greatest pay-per-view, guys. So we're going to start off with the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. I have to say it was probably it was the better of the two Hell in a Cell matches that I personally liked. I liked what Ambrose and Rollins brought to it. I think it actually raised them up, that they can show that they can be main event stars, that they can, one of these guys or both of these guys will eventually be a world champion at some point. It was a great match. The ending of the match where Bray Wyatt came out, I wasn't really expecting that. We should have expected, because we saw all of the vignettes. He should have popped out, but, I don't really know why he really targeted Dean Ambrose. It's still not really known why, but overall, I guess I have to give the match probably a 4 out of 5, guys. Andy, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, the thing that pissed me off about the Dean Ambrose match, as I said to Lance when I was talking to him on Facebook, why they had to have Wade Barrett come in and spoil it, I do not know, because it really did spoil the thing for me.
Andy, I think you mean Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, who did I say?
Wade Barrett.
Yeah, it spoilt a good match, in my honest opinion. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it was a brilliant fucking storyline, and no, it wasn't. It spoilt the match. We got no outcome. It's just to me, it sucks. It just confuses the issue. I don't know who's going to be fighting next now.
Yeah, I think the reason why they brought Bray Wyatt in was maybe to have some closure between these two and have Dean Ambrose move on to his next opponent. But I can understand that. Will, over to you.
I'm going to take a quote from our fellow wrestling writer, the Wrestle Gamer, Double B Billy Boozer. What the fuck was that? And I'm going to explain why. The match was good. The spots were good. The problem, nobody expected Wyatt, like you said. Now, I do have something about that for my segment, which will be coming later on, folks, so stay tuned. I just think nobody expected Wyatt to come out because, like you said, Rick, the closure, and Wyatt's gonna feud with him for a while, and and when Roman Reigns, yes, I said it, folks, here, Roman Reigns, when he gets back, when he said on Raw, he has some unfinished business with Seth Rollins. So with Ambrose moving on, Reigns' return versus Rollins, this is going to be very, very good.
Lance, over to you.
Well, all in all, this is what the Hell in a Cell should be. Brutal, high spots from hell. I kind of think Ambrose is one of the few crazy bastards in the wrestling business today that is crazy enough to do a Mick Foley fall from the top of the cage. And I'm talking from where Taker threw him off. I think WWE told him no. I think he's crazy enough to do that. And with the whole Bray Wyatt thing, I think they were kind of running out of ways to prolong the Rollins-Ambrose feud. By no means do I think we're done seeing this feud. I think somewhere down the road, these two will be feuding again.
You know what, I agree with you there, because, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, this could very well mold into, a Cena Orton feud,
yeah.
Where we could see them feud many, many times, and because they do have great chemistry, similar to Cena and Orton. And a lot of people didn't want to see that main event again, but guess what? They do have great chemistry. Let's move on to Rusev versus Big Show. Now, I kind of expected Rusev to win, because whether people like it or not, Big Show, he always brings it, but unfortunately he can never finish it off. That's just the way it has always been with Big Show. I think they're really gearing Rusev to be, again, another big player. I could see him going up against John Cena at some point in time. Do I see him getting past John Cena? That's questionable. Now, I know a lot of people really hate Rusev right now, but you know what? That's what he's made for. That's what he's supposed to do. The only thing that I really had question about was Mark Henry. Mark Henry, I expected him to come into the match and turn heel. Unfortunately, we didn't see that happen till Raw, but my timing was off, but the end game was right. Will, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay, as much as I want to say that this was some type of good match, this match made me want to throw up. The heel turn should have been at the pay-per-view, not on Raw, but overall, this was, although really pathetic, I don't have really much to say. Heel turn should happen at the pay-per-view. Why the fuck Raw?
And Lance, over to you.
Kind of a piss break.
All right. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with both of the other colleagues there. Piss break. Why? You just know that the Big Show was going to lose that match. There was just too much of a big hope. And quite why they're giving the Russian the big push, because who's he going to end up fighting? Because he seems to be beating everybody else. Who's he going to end up fighting? Brock Lesnar? And I can't see him fighting Brock Lesnar somehow.
Now let's going to move on to the one of the opening matches, which again shocked me, which was the Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro 2 out of 3 fall match. Now I'm going to tell you guys, I really thought Cesaro was going to win this, and Dolph Ziggler was going to go back to the job squad. And this was surprisingly one of the better matches on the card. Not to mention, not only did that, it surprised me because Ziggler, not only did he win, but he won in clean sweep fashion. He won the 2 matches. Cesaro didn't even get a win. So for me, I was pleasantly surprised, and I have to really give this a big thumbs up for this match. Lance, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Well, the reason I think they gave it to him, and I even said this on Billy's channel, or the Wrestle Gamers channel, is they gave it to him like a back-to-back wins is one reason. You have usually a long match when it comes to 2 out of 3 falls. Then you have 2 matches that are usually quite long in themselves, the 2 Hell in a Cells. Then you have 5 other matches you got to fit in there. In a matter of 3 hours, I think they were trying to just tell Ziggler, Cesaro, make yourselves look good, get yourselves over, which, hell, they did, because this, hell, fucking awesome.
Andy, over to you.
Yeah, again, I agree. God, don't talk with me. I'm agreeing with Lance again. Why are they seem to disrespect Dolph Ziggler for 12 months and then start giving him a push again? Is there something I'm missing here somewhere?
I agree with you 100%. Dolph Ziggler was getting jobbed left and right, and he was the IC Championship. And when you're the Intercontinental Championship, that was at one point in time that was the next step to being the World Championship, and now it's just a joke. Will, your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be the bearer of bad news, but I can't agree with you guys here, and I'm going to be respectful and why. They made Ziggler a joke, a champion with the belt, and you're going to have this losing streak. I'm sorry. If it weren't for Ambrose and the Rollins match, yes, this could have been the best match, but if you give a belt to a guy that has a losing streak, what the fuck is WWE doing? Oh, it's a joke more than a cereal box. I'm sorry.
Now we're going to have one extra match, which I didn't even want to talk about, but I know somebody, Will, wants to give a good rant on. And that's the Nikki versus Brie Bella match. This match was predictable before we even knew the match was on the card because we knew what was coming up. In fact, Joe, who's not here tonight, even called it. He knew that there was going to be a match with a stipulation where one of the Bellas was going to be the other's person's, a personal assistant. And it came true. And we already knew that Brie was going to be the one who's the assistant. Why? Because the heel has to be assistant. It wouldn't have made sense otherwise. And you know what? Since he has the rant and since he wanted to talk about this, well, I'm handing it off to you.
Thank you, Rick. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Don't worry, Lance and Eddie. I'll give you guys time to talk. First of all, WWE, what the fuck were you thinking? Okay, I don't watch Total Divas. I am not a Total Divas fan. I'll never watch the show. But who the fuck's write this garbage? I mean, of course, Brie is the talented Bella than Nikki. Yes, I'm going to say, if you don't like it, fuck you. And number 2, if they really wanted to put more into this match, then put something into it. I feel like I'm sounding like James from the Big Easy, my tag team partner who's not here right now. But here's what I got to say. Fuck WWE Logic, fuck the creative writers, and fuck everybody who endorsed this match. You all can go jump off a bridge.
Wow, that's just a little bit of animosity there for the Bellas, but hey. Andy, over to you.
Why, oh why, that's all I can say. Why the hell do we need to see the Bellas in another feuding match, which is pointless?
I'm inclined to agree, and Lance, your thoughts?
Pretty much, I mean, while I do watch Total Divas, enjoy the show, but when it bleeds over to the on-air product, hell no. But basically, another piss break.
I think we've pretty much covered what we thought about Hell in the Cell, and if you have any thoughts of what you thought about Hell in the Cell, please make sure you put your comments in the comment section below.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have noticed, or this is out for the listeners, not the team, because I know the guys in the team will probably know, but on Sunday, the pay-per-view, WWE is supposedly a PG-13 or parental guidance type show. After watching those 2 Hell in a Cell matches, that's hardly parental guidance. I don't know what went wrong, but I want to see a bit more of it, to be perfectly honest. It made it rather entertaining television. So is that the end of the PG era, and we're going to start coming to a bit more hardcore stuff? Because I'm sorry, hitting blokes over the head with kendo sticks and chairs and actually showing them being hitten and not cutting away to Michael Cole's face scratching his arse seems to me that the PG era is falling flat on its arse, as we all predicted it would be. I'm not going to say we're going to have an attitude era. That'll never happen, so grow up and get a life. That's never going to happen again. But hopefully we're going to see a bit more hardcore-ish wrestling, which is what we've all grown up to love, and that's what we expect. So big thumbs up on that one on the pay-per-view.
Hashtag forget the E.
So, Andy, well, I do have to agree with you. I think what they do sometimes is that it is PG, but I think sometimes they do kind of cross over that line back to the Attitude. Not completely Attitude Era, but they do have that little bit of hardcore, and I do agree with you. That was a big, huge thumbs up, But now we're going to get on to our wrestling news. Before I kick it over to Will, I do have something that's been going on over the past week. WWE has been considering doing away or even moving the Elimination Chamber. The most recent report was that WWE is considering moving the pay-per-view to June, which would set up a title match for SummerSlam. This would mean that WWE would have to move the WWE's Payback to May. None of this has been officially confirmed. Andy, let me ask you this. Moving the Elimination Chamber, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? What are your thoughts about this?
I think it's bad because they keep the pay-per-views at a set month per year, every year for the last 10 years or more, so you know when the pay-per-view is going to come up and what the pay-per-view is, and then suddenly they start to change it. It's like everybody knows that the first pay-per-view in the year is always the Royal Rumble. It's always in end of January, and it's always the Royal Rumble, and it starts off the new year of pay-per-views. What happens if they start moving the Royal Rumble to like June or July? You're just going to screw up everybody, and they think, oh, Royal Rumble's on in July, I mean. Just why do they need to change?
Well, I think the reason why they are moving this, and this is their thought, because if you remember before, like a couple of months ago, or even a year ago, they had 2 titles. They had the WWE title and the World title. Now there's only 1 title. Because the Elimination Chamber was, let's say if there was the Royal Rumble winner, and he had the choice to go for the WWE title or the World title, and in the Elimination Chamber, that person would go on to fight for the other title that the Royal Rumble winner was going for. Now we can't do that. The WWE now, so I think what they want to do is make sure the Royal Rumble winner goes on to face the championship at WrestleMania, and nothing doesn't get set off in between. Would you still agree with that, or do you disagree?
No, I agree. Another thing that I wanted to interject, Seth Rollins, Money in the Bank ladder match, holds the briefcase. Can anyone see that the guy is, and I can't see how it's going to happen, is he going to cash it in at I can't see him holding it till WrestleMania, to be perfectly honest, but is he going to cash it in at WrestleMania and spoil the main event?
That's a good question. Well, the problem is let's be realistic. Brock Lesnar's never even run. I know we're kind of going off track of it, but, if the champion has to be around for you to cash it in, and he can't really cash it in, can he, until, he decides to get off his ass and show up. Yeah,
I can just see that. What I'm gonna say is, it probably upsets a lot of people, but it's going to be another boring as shit match. Both of the guys are going to end up on the floor, and the referee will start his 10 count, and then I can just see Seth Rollins sliding in, pinning Brock Lesnar. Job's a good one. John Cena's not actually lost the match because Seth Rollins has won it. We're just going to get screwed again at WrestleMania.
Lance, over to you.
Well, I doubt they're gonna move the big 4 like Andy was kind of suggesting. Like, would they move the Rumble or something? The big 4 is pretty much set in stone. The other 8, they are pretty much free to move them where they want. I disagree with the names that I've been hearing for where Chamber was. But there's one spot I kind of think Chamber would fit, because I think that by the name of this pay-per-view, it needs a Chamber or structure match as the main event. That would be Battleground.
Will, over to you. Your thoughts.
Once again, WWE's using this circus logic to move their pay-per-views, and not to mention what was not mentioned is they're trying to add a new pay-per-view called WWE Fastlane, and I'm like, I would rather take a shit than hear a new pay-per-view and all these movements. Seriously? I understand you're trying to make things fresh, but this is not Harvard Yard WWE. Why?
Again, all of this is all internet rumor. We don't even know if this is fact. WWE might pull the plug on all this and say, no, it was just a bad idea. So for right now, folks, we will be keeping you up to date on the story as it develops. And now, Will, I'm going to kick it over to you for the rest of the news.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start off a little bit differently for our news today. And it's about The Undertaker. I found out some ultimate details about his new role in NXT. Our source from PNW Insider has came out with the information that Undertaker will be making occasional appearances at the Performance Center down there in Florida, and he will have the exclusive freedom to choose his own dates around his set schedule. In Puerto Rico, his job will essentially be offered to help the developmental talent. Basically, he'll answer questions and teach them to be what's expected of them if and when they get brought up to the roster.
I think it would really be good for Undertaker to, if he's going to start training all the younger guys and do stuff like that. I think that's phenomenal. The fact is he's not doing any better as wrestling, and I think for him to step down and to pass on his knowledge, I think that's an awesome, awesome idea. Andy, what do you think?
I think Michael Cole dropped a subtle hint about The Undertaker at the pay-per-view when the little Brock Lesnar skit, vignette, call it what you will, came on. They're still using the 21-1. Now, that 21-1 is something that they say when The Undertaker is wrestling, because now he's lost one, so it's 21-1. But now Brock Lesnar's using the 21-1, so The Undertaker doesn't need to come back for next year's WrestleMania, because the streak's broken. And people keep saying, well, he'll still carry on. He doesn't need to. Brock Lesnar's going to carry it on for him. It'll be 21-2 and 21-3. And so it just seems as though Brock Lesnar's nicked that little thing. But as for Mark or Undertaker, call him what you will, it's about time he had some job in the WWE, because he's still raking money out of the company and he's not putting anything back. So it's about time he put something back into the company, because he's been raping him for the last 12 months and give him nothing in return. A bit like Brock Lesnar and The Rock.
Wow. Lance, over to you and your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I kind of disagree with Andy a little bit with the whole he's raping them, because let's face it, when WWE was in its hardest times, the two guys at the top beating the hell out of themselves was HBK and Taker. If Taker wants to go down and pass it on to the next generation, freaking great. He was always a locker room leader in the back. Great for WWE if they do this. I approve.
All right, Will, what else you got for us?
All right, more on, folks. We're going to move on. We were talking about Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose. So basically, I'm going to narrow down this article to basically a question to everybody. They're basically saying now that this is a test or storyline angle of test the differences in each other's craziness. So, Lance, I'll start with you. Who's going to win in this new storyline feud between Ambrose and Wyatt, and who's more crazy, Ambrose or Wyatt?
Well, they're two different kinds of crazy, all right? Dean Ambrose is a savage, psychotic, beat the hell out of you, kill you crazy, while Bray Wyatt's more Charlie Manson, control your mind crazy. More dangerous? I got it. While I'm a fan I love both these guys because I love crazy son of bitches. So, but I gotta go with the Lunatic Fringe.
I think Lance pretty much said it perfect. There are two types of crazies. There's ones who want to fuck with your mind, and that's Bray Wyatt. And then there's the other crazy who's going to jump off the top of a cell into like a pile of tacks and that is the Lunatic Fringe.
Foley.
And that's Dean Ambrose.
Foley.
Yeah. Absolutely. He is the type of person, we've seen him in CZW. A few people have not seen him in CZW as John Moxley. Go see some of the shit that he's done, man. It'll have like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. I was screaming holy shit, and I wasn't watching it live. I was watching that like on the screen.
There's a reason
at my house.
T-shirt on him. His body is torn the hell up.
Exactly. He's got scars. He's got more scars than Mick Foley.
And possibly Sabu.
Yeah, that boy is fucking nuts. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely Ambrose. He wins hands down. Ambrose, to me, they're trying to make Ambrose the psychotic, I think, modelling him on Jake the Snake, trying to get people's attention just by his mannerisms, and it's just not working. The guy is good at what he's doing, but he's no Jake the Snake Roberts. Bray Wyatt, as I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it again, he's jobber status at best. Take his storylines off him, and he keeps doing his spider walk, as we call it in the UK, which is what girlies do in the playground at playtime at school. What's scary about that, for fuck's sake? It's all that. We've seen it all before. From day one, he's doing the same act. At least Ambrose has changed. He's gone from being a bit of a lunatic to a complete psychotic lunatic. At least he's getting better with the character, and he's making it more believable. Bray Wyatt just looks like a complete ponce, if that's a word that you use in the States. If not, gay. He looks proper gay in the ring.
Damn.
That's the son of a bitch.
If somebody walked up to me doing that spider walk, crab, whatever you want to call it, I'd kick him straight in the mouth. Get up from that, you fat fucker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be scary. Grab him by his beard and sit on his face. There's nothing scary about that move whatsoever. The best thing about that little skit when he came in the ring and spoilt the cage match is round of applause for the people that designed the Princess Leia fucking hologram in the middle of the ring. Round of applause for that one.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I have to admit, the special effects there was pretty badass. Unfortunately, I thought that was going to be something new all the time. Unfortunately, it was just for that one show.
All right. And last article, fellas, is I have to bring up the wrestler that Rick is starting to hate. That's right, folks. CM Punk. Why? Yes, Peter Side reports that WC Punk have obviously did some recent contact, but reports are coming out saying about merchandise. So this means there has been something has been worked out, but no details have been really reported out for a while. But one has said, sources say that Cloak still says he's a retired pro wrestler and he will not be coming back to WWE nor to any company anytime soon. Now, regarding Punk's contract, we already knew it expired July last year? Yeah, that sounds about right. So now we see him back in the WWE 2K15 games we'd be seeing every time we watch Raw or NXT or SmackDown. And they brought up what we brought up here on April on Hardcore Wrestling Radio, fellas, was that little lawsuit from Punk's attorney, the merchandise and name hippity boot blah. So basically, Rick, I'm going to start with you. The question is, with Punk's supposedly new deal that's supposedly coming out, the merchandise, and he's on WWE 2K15, is this really the last we're going to hear of Punk, or is there something in secret that we don't know about?
Well, as far as the merchandise that's going to be on WWE, or shop.WWE.com, I'm not even sure. For all we know, that could just be the last of the stuff that the WWE is just trying to push out. From what I went on to WWE.com, that was some extra stuff that I saw. So they're saying it's new stuff. Yeah, so it's not sure. Some websites are hinting that a new line of communication has been opened between Punk and the WWE. Whether that means that they're just talking business instead of Punk saying, yeah, you know what, you want to sell my shit and you want to make me more money? Fine, go ahead. I don't care. Have at it. I could use some more money in my pocket. Why not? Does that mean he's going to return to the WWE? Who knows? A lot of people thinking that he's taking, CM Punk's just taking this extended sabbatical and that this is all a big ruse and that CM Punk's going to eventually return as this super heel. I honestly don't know anymore. I really don't know. If we don't see him back by Rumble, I'm guessing that he really is pissed and that, he's got, he's, as Andy likes to say, spit out his dummy and he's sitting in a corner with his, thumb in his mouth, and just, taking a big piss. I really just don't know anymore. My guess, honestly, if I had to give it, I'm guessing it's more 80% that he's really pissed off, 20% that it's a ruse. There it is.
Okay. Since you brought up Andy will go with you. What do you think about CM Punk and his merchandise?
Same as Rick. I'm really confused. At first I thought it was probably some kind of storyline and they were giving him a bit of a break. I don't really know, because the thing that confuses me, if you've got the CM Punk DVD box set, which I have, unfortunately, no, the bloke's a good star. I'll take that back what I've just said. He quite clearly states on there, before he finishes, or before he packs in completely, he wants to do a run of mixed martial arts, whether it's UFC, MMA, blah, blah, blah. He isn't even pursuing that, which makes me think there's still some kind of contract deal with him in the WWE, and everyone's just keeping hush-hush. I know for a fact that he didn't get on with anybody that our friend Paul, Triple H, has any dealings with, so I'm just wondering if they have actually forced him out and bought him out, if they've said, right, we'll pay you your wages, but you don't have to come to work, but you can't work, like the 90-day clause, but it's obviously longer than 90 days. I just think they've bought him out. I really do. I think they're paying him his wage and stopping him working anywhere else. I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, but as I've said before, there's got to be he's got to be involved somewhere for AJ to still have a job, because the WWE, if you're man and wife and one of you gets fired, normally the other one's not far behind, and they are still pushing AJ, so that sucks really in a way. Something just doesn't ring true.
Very well said, Andy. Very well said. Last T, Lance.
Well, about this, see, the whole Punk, I think this is just might be about money. Like, okay, one, Punk merchandise still sells, which Vince is all about the money. But about the return, see, I saw an interview he did. It might have been posted on HTBR. I don't remember, because, like I said, I had been sick, and it was back during that when I saw it. It was like, somebody asked him if it would be if he would be back for 31. He said, definitely no. In the future, would he? You never know. So, have we seen the last of CM Punk? No. I'd still say at minimum 2020.
Something
all
that
right.
we've all... Sorry, Will. Sorry to cut you off. Something that it's just come to my mind, but something that we've all probably overlooked. Two of the biggest stars are supposedly out of action. We've got CM Punk and we've got Daniel Bryan. We've heard nothing really much about Daniel Bryan. That's all kept hush-hush. I'm just wondering if the WWE are paying them off, because why Daniel Bryan's in the WWE and CM Punk, it seems to be the three people that are being pushed. It's CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena. Now it's just basically John Cena, who doesn't need any pushing. He is the top guy. They're now pushing other people like Ambrose and Wade Barrett and all the other wrestlers who've had a push, Dolph Ziggler, who've had pushes before but have gone down the wayside because of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They seem to be giving them a push now because they're on a back foot and they're forced to push the guys that they haven't pushed before. So really, it's doing all the other wrestlers a big favour by them being out. And I'm just wondering if they've just manned up and said, look, can we have some time out, give a push to these other guys? Because we all know, if CM Punk and Daniel Bryan came back in 3 years' time, they'd still get pops. They'd still blow the roof off, just like Austin and When The Rock come back. They've made their name. They can be out of the business for 3 years and come back and blow the roof off. So while they are away, they're giving the new guys chance to be pushed. And I think it's probably some kind of work that the WWE might have done. I don't know, but that's the more logical thing when you think about it, that all they need to do now is get rid of John Cena, and they can probably do that at WrestleMania when he fights Brock Lesnar, and then they can start pushing the new guys.
Well, guys, you know what? I think we're going to wrap things up here on Hardcore Wrestling Radio. As always, we'd love to thank you for listening, and we want to know what you thought of Hell in a Cell. We also want to know what you thought about this week's controversies and scandals, and if you have any controversies in wrestling that you'd like to hear about, please make sure you put your comments in the comment section below. Please make sure you like this video, and also please make sure you follow us over at facebook.com/HardcoreWrestlingRadio. Andy, where can everyone find you at?
Yes, you can find me at www.stokehaunted.com, or at the local ER if things turn to the worst.
Well, we hope that doesn't happen, Andy, and we're glad that you have back. We're glad that you are feeling better.
Thank you very much.
We have the incomparable Lance Moss in the house, and you can find him over at youtube.com/LanceMossTV. Lance, what do you got going on over there?
Album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck gourmet cooking videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants, and whatever else pops in my head. If you haven't subscribed, get on over and subscribe. Come on.
That's right, guys. Get on over and subscribe. We also have one half of the iVlog tag team in the house. And you can catch a ride with him over on SoundCloud.com/HardcoreWrestlingRadio. Will, what do you got going on over there this week?
You know what? We're not going to do any news. I think on Friday, whoever wants to join me, we're just going to shoot the shit on how WWE doesn't really mean WWE.
All right, guys. So make sure you catch us with in the moment. So for everyone here, I'm your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you. Thank you for listening to this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Be sure to check us out over at facebook.com/HardcoreWrestlingRadio. And also be sure to follow us over at dailymotion.com/HWR show. And now, check us out at our new location, soundcloud.com/HardcoreWrestlingRadio. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying we'll see you when we see you.